Hello and welcome to the 4th episode of Satellite Gaming Satellcast. First and foremost, I would like to apologize for the lack of podcasts we had last week. We did record one. It was damn near an hour and a half long, but it just wasn't up to our standards. It didn't shape out the way we wanted it to, so we decided not to go ahead and publish it. Hopefully this one will be one that we can throw out there for you. Anyway, with me I have Kale.
Hey.
I have Michael.
How's it going?
And I have Matthew.
Hello.
And today, we are not going to be talking about the topic of homosexuality. No, we are going to be talking about... No, disappointing. Kale is sad. He's probably not going to get a whole lot of FaceTime that way. We're going to... Anyway, we're going to go ahead and talk about... we got two Final Fantasy topics. The Final Fantasy 25th Anniversary Edition opinions that we all have. What we think about Final Fantasy 13 as a trilogy in its own. Digital copies versus hard copies, and then we're going to talk about sequels or trilogies, as in games that never had a sequel that should, or games that even had a better sequel than the original. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and start with the... We're going to go ahead and start with the Final Fantasy 25th Anniversary Edition. This isn't something I actually knew about until Kale here mentioned something about it on Facebook to me. And it was actually very interesting, but it's... I'll go ahead and let Kale give his 2 cents on it. Maybe you can describe a little bit as to what it is. So, Kale, if you would.
All right, basically, for the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy, they're bringing out this huge, stupid anniversary collection.
Right.
It's, I don't know. The concept of it is kind of cool. But I think that the way that they're going about it is not. Basically, what it is, it's a giant box. It includes the 13 core Final Fantasy games, meaning no Final Fantasy Tactics or anything like that. It's just Final Fantasy 1 through 13.
Dumb.
Yes, but here's
Thanks.
Here's the thing. Instead of, or it is only on PS3, but which is fine because traditionally Final Fantasy's on PS3. But instead of it being on, maybe like 2 or 3 or maybe 4 Blu-ray discs, Final Fantasy 1 through 9 is on a PS1 disc. Except for Final Fantasy 3. Final Fantasy 3 is on a PSP disc. and then 10 through 12 is on a PS2 disc. And then 13... I'm sorry, I was rudely interrupted by static.
Yeah, what the hell's going on there?
And then 13 is on a PS3 disc. So you have 4 different consoles, 13 different games over 4 different consoles. 3 of the consoles nobody even uses. Yeah, you can say that. Actually, no, you guys can't say that because the newer PS3s don't even have backwards compatibility anymore.
Exactly.
Only the original ones did. Actually, I kind of forgot about that. But then I guess you can go get a PS2 because those will play. But that's the thing. You have to go get another system to play all these. Plus, if you don't got a PSP, you're not going to be able to play 3. And why the hell would you want to buy a PSP?
I actually wholeheartely agree with you. I think it's a completely dumb idea to make them on a entirely separate console. The counter argument there is, I think Matthew said it the other day, if you're a big enough fan, it's probably, it doesn't matter what our opinion is, right? You're probably going to run off and get 5 copies for you and your family to salivate over.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't, does anyone know the cost?
$450.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I quit. I don't even want to do this anymore. I don't even want to talk about it. Oh my god.
No, the soundtrack comes with it as well.
Not the entire soundtrack, just selected bits.
Wait, really? The soundtrack is 2 discs long, and it's not even the whole thing?
Well, that's a lot of games to cover.
Yeah, but oh my gosh, no. What a dumb...
I bet you couldn't even get all the Chocobo songs on those discs.
Yeah, it's... No way. Well, Michael, what do you think about this? I'm curious.
I think it's ridiculous. $400... You could buy a new console with that.
Yeah.
You could buy 3 new consoles if you played your cards right.
Yeah.
That's...
I like that they're releasing a collection of all their discs, but at the same time, it is pretty ridiculous in the price, and you don't even get all that much exclusive content with it.
You don't get
You
any
could go out and
exclusive
buy every
content.
single one of these games on the systems that they're on for less money than it would cost for this entire thing.
Well, see, and it's not even the original artwork. See, now, if this was like a true collector's thing, where they were like re-bringing them out, like with the original cover art on the disc, that would be a little bit cooler. But it's not. It's all redone, like a different theme for each console. And I don't know. I think they really
dropped the ball. I mean, honestly, I think
I do.
They're really, really, really dropped the ball real bad. Matt, what do you think? You haven't really said a whole lot.
So we have to look at this. I mean, we're looking at this from the American perspective. It's pretty hot in Japan, more so than in America. And you have to think, coming from the companies, I don't really care for this. I'll just put that out there now. But you have to look at where they're coming from on this. How much is it costing them to do this? And what's the gain they could get from it? There are people that will buy this. And what are they going to lose? Some, time on shipping, putting all their games together in a box and tying it with a bow and sending it on its way. So, I mean, they're not really losing anything by doing this.
Well, from the company's standpoint, it's a brilliant idea because people are going to eat that stuff up. I agree from the company standpoint, but from the consumer standpoint.
From the consumer standpoint, from most consumers' point, it's a total rip.
From anyone with a brain, and
there's no really way that this could be justified. Like, I need to complete my collection. Well, no. If you were a big enough fan, then you'd already have
the
most of these
SNES
games.
Cartridges for some of this.
Yeah, I mean, it might be justifiable for kids that have a lot of money to blow away and they're only 14, and maybe they grew up on maybe 10 was their first Final Fantasy. God.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, but that's still a lot of games you have to make up for, and I think maybe it'd be cheaper to just go the other way. It's a collector's item, and if you're young enough to just start out Final Fantasy, I don't think you're going to be looking into this.
Right, and that's the thing, though. Like what you said, though. I mean, I think if this was going to be a true collector's edition, Final Fantasy 1 through 3 would be on Super Nintendo.
Anything like that.
Or regular Nintendo.
Even if they included it on just Blu-rays, if they would have given me, artwork or,
is this even coming out in America? I didn't even think about checking that. I think if it's just coming out in Japan, then they're probably big enough fans to do this. So
yeah, but if any Japanese are listening, please give me one good reason as to why you're buying this. You're wasting money. You can get all this.
Might be their Halo.
I don't.
Or
I would never
that
spend
money.
that much
See
money.
me. I would rather go download. I could download Halo. I mean, I'm not suggesting anybody pirate Halo, but I mean, it's like $5 on the PC right now if you want it that bad. Like. No, there's no justifiable reason to go out and spend $450.
I mean, you have to look at it from a more futuristic standpoint. If I'm going to compare it to Halo, as something maybe 10 years from now after Halo 10's been released, or 10-2. So, I mean, maybe in the future it would be justifiable. Not for us. I wouldn't do it. I'm too stingy. But I guess they wouldn't do it if they didn't feel the crowd was out there.
Well, I mean, like Michael said, the biggest point here is you could buy several consoles for $450. Absolutely not. I think we're all in agreement here. No way do we see this as a justifiable buy. From a company standpoint, we agree that it's brilliant, but that does not mean companies should jump into that. We're going to stay in the Final Fantasy realm here, and we're going to move on to the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy. Final Fantasy 13-3 just got announced, and that's great if anybody... I have to go out here on the record and say I never did beat Final Fantasy 13. I wanted to like it, I really did, and I think I did like it, but I put it off for too long and kind of ended up not really getting into it as I should have. But what the most entertaining thing to me is, while fans are clamoring for a Final Fantasy VII remake, they're giving us a trilogy of Final Fantasy 13 now. First of all, Michael, Kale, or Matt, have either of you actually played Final Fantasy 13 or Final Fantasy 13?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, I mean, now from there, I just want to know, does this universe really deserve its own trilogy in Final Fantasy, or could we have gotten like a sequel to 7, like a playable sequel, not Advent Children, or would you rather seen a sequel to 6 even? Or
Wait, we had a sequel to 7.
They're just, oh my god. I don't, no.
Final Fantasy 13. Final Fantasy 13-3 is the sequel that nobody wanted to the game that nobody liked.
Really? That doesn't seem too harsh. No, I mean, I don't have a whole lot of room to talk. I'm going to be honest with you, like I said, but
I have not met one person that has liked either of the Final Fantasy 13 games.
That is a very good point.
Even online, like in forums or what, nobody. I mean, you should have seen the comments on the post of that article that I found announcing it. I mean, it was just a whole bunch of people bitching about it.
Well, that's what the internet does.
Yeah, I know, but but still, I've never met anybody that has actually come up to me and said, "Man, Final Fantasy 13 is my favorite game," or "That game is awesome. Could not stop playing it."
Well, all right. Several reviews. I think the game pretty much hovered around the original Final Fantasy 13 hovered around 7 or 8 out of 10. Michael, did you ever play FF13? And if so, what do you think?
I didn't play it. I saw people playing it though. Thought it was kind of interesting. It was a little unique in its Actually, it wasn't unique in its combat system. 12 did that. So I don't really have anything to say about it. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No, there's really no. Matt, I guess. What do you think? Streaming there in FF13.
So I never played Final Fantasy 13. I came pretty close to buying it, but I tilted toward Bioshock instead. That was a good choice, I think. I knew it didn't really change the combat system. It did copy from 12, but there's nothing appealing about this Final Fantasy that maybe 7, 8, and I guess 9, if you're into that, really had. So, the game, if it didn't have appeal, why are we making a sequel, and why are we making 2 sequels for it? Maybe the universe is expansive, but I don't think it needs to be expanded if people aren't going to buy this game or play it. So.
Well, the interesting note here is I don't know how well FF13-2 sold. Now, here is the counter argument to that. That game went down to $20 so damn fast, and it was released at the $60. So I'm not.
Duke Nukem was sold at $60, and then it's probably selling for less than $20 now. But
that's what I'm saying.
It's also $5 now.
but that's what I'm saying is it obviously didn't sell that well if it's dropping so quick. Right?
Yeah.
That's not. I can't see the marketing tactic.
Maybe it didn't sell well here, but maybe it's selling really well in Japan.
Yeah, that could be the counter argument there. I want to definitely throw out what I played of Final Fantasy 13. I did enjoy. There were your cheesy typical Final Fantasy moments. That I'm good for cheesy and cliche. Don't get me wrong, but oh man, so bad. I actually enjoyed Lightning's story and how the main character was a woman who was, someone that you didn't look down upon. She was portrayed to be strong, and I think that's good for gaming. We don't really have a whole lot of that besides Lara Croft, more or less.
Anybody only ever wants to back her into a corner.
Exactly. So that's what I think there. It was great. Now, I didn't play Final Fantasy 13-2, nor did I even beat the first one, and I would love to at some point, but I've got other games that I would rather spend my time in, but we're going to go ahead and get off this topic, and we're going to quickly move into what our opinions. One of the most popular topics when it comes to video games is the digital copies versus hard copies. And several high-profile developers have, come out and stated saying that digital copies will be the way, and there won't be hard copies anymore. I personally believe that either way you look at it, you're always going to want a hard copy to the game. Now, can anybody here tell me the counter-argument to that?
This is our generation?
Yeah, it very well could be, but what I was more looking for was arcade games. I don't have hard copies of those, and I've spent...
Well, yeah, but that's the obvious. With the tablet and PC gaming taking such a toll on the market, it's popularized with... I want to say it's Angry Birds that did this, but maybe not. So... these games have gone digital, and Xbox has followed suit, and that wouldn't be long until maybe Nintendo and Sony follows that. They're just doing past releases right now. You look at, the arcade games, yeah.
Right.
What I mean by our generation is I want to make this analogy to CDs. Not very many people go to music stores and buy CDs anymore. That was the big thing back in their generation when they first came out, was cassettes and CDs. And now a lot of people go through MP3, just buy them online.
iTunes, right?
iTunes and stuff. So, I think the same thing's going to eventually happen to video games where discs are just going to be, or whatever medium they are in the future, will be put to the minimum.
Right. Now, so I guess, Michael, what do you prefer? Your physical copies or your digital ones?
I definitely prefer the physical copies. I like just knowing that I have it and that let's say if your memory gets wiped, you lose it. I think that's how it works.
Well,
No, that's
you
not.
if it's not backed up on cloud.
Yeah, cloud.
But like anything through Microsoft, it's going to be, you can re-download it. But a lot of that stuff, if it's not backed up, you could run a really good chance of losing it. Now, game companies are doing their best to combat that. That's a very good point that you brought up. They aren't ignoring that. They're definitely attempting to be like, oh, you can re-download it if it inevitably gets blown up by a chicken or something, some bullcrap like that. But, well, Kale, what do you think?
I don't mind digital download, but I like having the physical hard copy. Because I like having the collection. I'll go out and buy games that I know I'm never going to play, like maybe something that I've beaten before, but I've sold off, but I want it again, just so they can sit there, in my collection.
No, I'm guilty about that too. Matt knows that one for sure.
Yeah, if I see a gem, for $10 or something, I know I'm never going to play it, but man, I want that just to have it. I'll get it.
Right.
But I don't see a problem with arcade games. I guess I really don't have a good reason, but arcade games, they're just maybe because I don't play them very much. I would love to have
they're marketed differently, I think, is a good part of it.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. The arcade games for the moment.
Short.
No, but see, there's a difference between the arcade games and then the games on demand. I don't buy games on demand. I don't buy full-fledged games. I'd rather go out and buy them.
Your big, your full retail titles, in my opinion, no one would have bought Skyrim, right? Through digital download if they could help it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that. Because I know that you can, same thing, even with PC games. You can just do the, download. I need the World of Warcraft boxes to be there. I need them.
See, that's one, when it came to Diablo 3, that was actually a, digital download. Because my CD drive didn't work at the time, because it wasn't plugged in. I didn't know that. Anyway, it's not the point. The point is that I did mine. I think the biggest example here, I think Minecraft kind of started it for me, and I know that's really, really late, but I actually don't mind so much anymore. But when it comes to your full retail copies, I like to have the disc, and here is why. The most important reason I like to have the disc, Matt will probably, he might be thinking it, or Kaylee will probably be thinking of it as well. Maybe even Michael, trade-ins.
Yeah.
You can't trade in the digital copy, right? I like to trade games in. You figure when I have a good chunk of them that I don't play anymore and I want Borderlands 2 or something like that, bam, there's credit. I go just trade the stuff in.
Right, that, and I use on Reddit, I use frequent our game swap, which is basically people post up saying, hey, this is what I have, and this is what I'm looking for, and they put a list, and I do that a lot. In fact, tomorrow I should be getting the Force Unleashed 1 and 2 and Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary and Halo Reach, just for some Microsoft points. Or, but I'm also trading Left 4 Dead 2 for one of those games. But, and that's the thing is, if I didn't have, I know, shut up. I know. But if I didn't have the physical copies of that stuff, I wouldn't be able to be doing that.
I agree.
And then I would have to go pay full price on games, because this isn't about what it's worth physically. It's about hey, I haven't played this. I want to play this.
Super good point. I wanted to. It definitely reminded me. Thank you very much. What's also really important is when digital games were originally being marketed, when games on demand was originally being marketed, I could have sworn they were like, oh, we're going to cut out the middleman. Games are going to be cheaper, and you're still selling your digital copies for $60.
Yeah.
I think if digital copies, let's say if digital copies were $20 cheaper on full retail titles, would you buy a hard copy still, or would you do the digital? Matt, what do you think?
Well, I'd be very tempted to digital. I'd have to get some more flash drives for my old Xbox to hold all the stuff on, or maybe an external, just really cheap out, or not cheap out, but fork over the money. Yeah, I'd probably go digital. I mean, all these games I'm looking at right now. I just moved, and moving all my games, that was a total pain.
Yeah,
I mean, it's those cases.
A hard drive, right? It's not.
I mean, I just throw it right in my Xbox, and it's there. It's very portable. I don't have to worry about, I didn't bring this game when I went to my friend's house. So
also a very good point.
Right there. And, with the cloud storage, you don't even have to bring your memory card anymore. You just put it on the cloud as long as they have an internet connection. It makes LANs a lot simpler.
I agree.
If I may interject, another good point about having a digital copy would be your disc won't get scratched up because you don't have a disc.
Exactly. So that actually leads me to ask you what you thought about it, Michael. What do you think about digital? If it was $20 cheaper, would you consider it with everything you think of, or are you always just going to be, physical copy? What do you think?
Well, I do prefer the physical copy. If something is cheaper, I'm probably going to gravitate towards that.
Nothing wrong with that. What about you, Kel?
I still wouldn't do it.
I think
you're full of crap.
No,
wait until
wait
it's $20 cheaper, and you can't afford, maybe getting both of those games on, hard copy, but you can get both of them on disc or on download.
I do. I'm sitting here trying to imagine myself doing that, and I can't do it. I
can't imagine it, but when it happens, you'll be there.
You're so mean, Matt.
I'm honest. I'm not mean. I am honest.
See, here's the thing. I mean, if I can't afford it...
Okay, and then there's a caveat to all this. Let me just add that in. Collector's editions, yes, those I will still get hard copies, even if it is a lot cheaper.
Good point, collectors. Kale, go ahead and finish up what you were saying, sorry.
Well, I don't know. Am I going to get told I'm wrong?
Probably.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, but
not by me, but...
No, I don't want digital copies. I don't want it. I won't switch to digital until they stop making physical. It's just impossible for me to get physical. Only then will I go to digital, but I have to have the physical copies.
And no, that's absolutely fine by all means. I don't want to dissuade anyone listening to thinking that wanting wanting physical copies is a sin and so on and so forth. It's it makes sense definitely. We're gonna go ahead and jump to our final topic for the night, and sequels. Basically, I'm gonna ask these guys what games had a sequel that probably should have never had one. What games that had a sequel that was actually better than the original, and games that never had a sequel that probably should. I'll go ahead and start with Kale here because I'm pretty sure I know he's going with his first one. So basically, Kale, I want to know what game that never had a sequel that should have gotten one.
All right. Now, before I say it, for each one of these categories, 3 categories, I actually picked 3 different games. Now, I don't have to get into full detail about them, but I figured I'll name them off, and then whichever ones get the big responses, those are the ones we'll discuss. But so the sequels I want to see, the ones that I wish had a sequels. First of all, like you said, Curtis, I'm pretty sure you knew what I was thinking. Crimson Skies.
Yes, absolutely.
Crimson Skies. Second is Jade Empire.
Okay, yeah.
Third game that never got a sequel that I've always wanted to see. Curtis, I think you're going to be you're going to fall on your ass. Skies of Arcadia.
Oh no, I was seriously thinking about that. That's amazing. I actually had that running through my head earlier. Oh man, a old Dreamcast reference for those.
Hell yeah.
Out there. Very interesting. Skies of fucking Arcadia. Good call. Good call.
I mean, it did get a remake on the GameCube.
Well, a remake that's fine, but it's not a sequel. So, all right. Now, of those 3 games, I'm gonna make you have to. It's gonna be the hard decision, dude. I've got to make you do it. Which one gets a sequel? If you are given all the money in the world and you can only put it on one game, which one?
AK, you signed up for Kickstarter.
Yeah, Crimson Skies.
I'm all right with that. I'm definitely all right with that. Now I want to know what game that maybe had a better sequel than the original. If you can think of one.
I can think of one.
My one is pretty much even, and we kind of discussed it in the podcast that never got aired, but it's definitely one that I'm throwing out there. I think it's going to be the easiest one, actually. And we back to you if necessary.
Well, I didn't necessarily pick the best game out there.
No, it's all opinionated by all means.
I just picked random. Well, not really so much random, but Arkham City.
Ooh, I could agree with that wholeheartedly. It definitely had a better sequel than the original.
I'm not saying that Arkham Asylum was bad.
No.
But then they came out with Arkham City, and it just completely blew everything away.
Right.
So that's the sequel I picked that was better than the original.
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
All right,
now, the final one.
The same thing with the shouldn't have had a sequel. Same thing as the sequels I wanted to see. I kind of picked 3 games here because I couldn't decide which ones I wanted. So I kind of want to see what you guys think. I picked Left 4 Dead 2.
Okay. Valve.
Force Unleashed 2.
Ooh. All right. And wait, what? And Halo what?
Halo 4.
Oh, all right.
I agree with Halo 4.
Matt's going to jump over the Halo 4 hate bandwagon.
Don't
buy the hype.
Taking Halo 4.
All right.
No, don't get me wrong. I have an immense hard-on for Halo 4 right now. I mean, I just played through the trilogy, and like I said, I have combat involved and Halo Reach coming to me, and I'm going to sit here and probably play Reach until Halo 4 comes out. But I still don't think they should be making a new Halo trilogy. I think they should have left it alone.
All right. I have a counter-argument to that, but I won't get into that when I'm going to ask you the final wrap-up question for that, and maybe we'll come back to it. You had the option to scrap one of those games. Which one? You had the option. It'll never come out. It would have never come out.
Force Unleashed 2.
Okay. I don't disagree with that selection in the slightest, honestly.
Well, here's my thing. Not very many things outside of the movies regarding Star Wars have a chance to be canon. Force Unleashed was given that very, very rare opportunity to actually put main canon into the Star Wars storyline in between episodes 3 and episodes 4.
Absolutely.
Force Unleashed 1 was amazing. It was perfect. I mean, it could have been a movie, and it would have been better than the whole prequel trilogy.
Okay, yeah.
In my opinion, anyway. Force Unleashed 2 was an absolute travesty. It was so bad. The only thing good about that game was the very first level. Where you're escaping from Camino and you jump out the window and slide down and whatnot. That was the best part of the game. After that, it went just completely downhill. I even groaned at the whole, Star Killer was a clone thing. I'm like,
right.
Really, that's what they went with? But if I had to pick that game right there, I wish never came out.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and jump to. We'll jump to Michael here. You don't have to go as in depth if you don't want to. It's completely up to you. But I'm just gonna. You don't even have to answer every single one. But if you could, you can only answer one of them if you want. But basically, I'm just wondering the same question. If there's a game that never had a sequel that should, what do you think it would be? Even if you had just one.
Like with Kale, I listed a bunch of games for each of the categories.
Fine. Absolutely. Let's hear the never had a sequel that should.
Bayonetta.
Really? Okay. I'm
Rystar.
all right with that. What was the second one?
Rystar.
Oh man, it was Sega?
Yeah.
Okay.
Banjo-Tooie.
Oh yeah.
Super Meat Boy.
Wait. This is sequels that you think are better, right?
This is sequels that need to happen.
Basically stuff that.
Well, Tooie had a sequel.
No, that's not necessarily a sequel. That's like a side thing.
Nuts and Bolts?
Yeah. No, okay. So here's what I was when I was going through my list. I was thinking the same thing. Is Resident Evil 4 a sequel to Resident Evil 3?
More or less, it's a continuation.
It's a sequel.
Of the franchise.
It's
yeah, I mean,
a
you
continuation,
have one of the
but
characters.
the style is way different. So
yeah.
I don't think the style matters. I think as long as it follows the same storyline, it's a sequel to the story.
So,
all right, well then, never mind. Scrap Tooie.
Well, no, the point still stands. The point still stands.
Following that particular arc in the story, it's like all the Zeldas, I guess you could say. Each of them has like the same plot-ish, but they're not necessarily right after each other.
Oddly enough, they actually did come out with an official timeline for that, but that's something else.
I read something about that. Maybe we'll bitch about that some other time. Or not.
Shadow of the Colossus.
Okay,
and
don't
Portal
disagree.
2.
A sequel to Portal 2?
Portal 2.
Give it time. I'm sure you'll never get it because it's counting to 3. One thing that
Valve cannot count to 3.
All right.
Portal 2 Episode 2, maybe.
There we go.
Pretty clever. Okay.
Well, didn't they do DLC for it? So I guess they
I don't have any idea. I would never, ever care. No, I actually don't hate Portal. I just bitch about it. Because it should be on Half-Life. All right. Anyway, enough of that. Matthew. Same thing
Did
here.
you run through all your sequels, Michael?
Oh, he did not.
Those are just the ones that should have had sequels.
Yeah.
Should have had sequels. I kept thinking Portal 2, and I was like, oh, better than the original. I'm sorry about that. Let's go ahead and better sequels than the original. What do you think?
Okay, Portal 2. That's on there.
Yeah, that's basically yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like the first Portal more. It was very original.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there, Matt. Portal was original and it was simple.
It's not to say Portal 2 was bad, but I think they could have got away without doing a sequel, and I think it would have been the universe might have been a little bit better without it. I Portal 2 was. Did you even play Portal 2?
Yeah.
Demo.
I'm not talking about you, Mike. I'm saying Curtis.
No, yeah, the demo.
You played the demo?
Yeah.
See,
There was a
if
demo?
you played the whole thing, I think if you took Portal 2 completely out, you wouldn't notice a difference in the Portal universe.
No one plays Portal for the storyline, if that's what you're talking about. And if you do, I'm going to find you.
Then why not just make another expansion pack for the first Portal?
I'm just saying, you don't No, you don't. Wait.
It was several hours of gameplay, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say
several hours. I mean, how hard was it for you guys? I beat it with my brother in an hour.
Oh, you played the co-op mode?
No, the co-op. Well, we played both.
Yeah.
Well, I mean the single player. That one took maybe 2. Yeah.
I don't think so.
I mean, it only took a couple hours for me to run through the entire game.
I don't know. I've heard some pretty awful things.
Heard it?
Gone.
Sorry, I accidentally hit the wrong button. I heard some awful things about how hard Portal can be. So it was more challenging than the first one. The first one was terribly easy. I mean, but I don't know.
Right.
Portal 2 was nice and challenging, but I don't think that it was better than 1, because 1 was their humor was very original. I mean, 2's was pretty good at points, but to be better than 1, I think 1 still had the better overall atmosphere, because it's the first time you're experiencing it. But anyway, I digress. Continue.
Okay, so from there, I'm just wondering, I guess we can jump to
time
Matt.
for sequels that should not exist.
I was going to say, sequels that never existed. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that, because Matt seemed to hurt my feelings a little, trashing on my poor little Portal knowledge.
I know.
Anyway, go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead.
Ninja Gaiden 3.
Ha!
Metroid Other M.
Ha!
Turok for the 360.
Okay, yeah, definitely. All right, I won't disagree with that.
Wait, but
And
wasn't
Skyward Sword.
Wait, what?
Skyward Sword.
Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword.
That
Really?
never should have been. I gotta
don't think so.
I gotta hear your argument on that if you don't mind.
Alright, so you go through the same dungeon twice. You don't have any new items. And even though you could argue that the little bomb bug thing is unique, the little flying bomb bug, you could do that in Phantom Hourglass with bombs and the magical boomerang.
That's actually kind of interesting. I mean, I've never actually heard anybody. All I have ever heard from anybody about Skyward Sword was, "OMG, this is Ocarina of Time
2.0, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, more or less. That's actually very interesting. I'm impressed that you would go that far. That's actually very, very interesting.
Also, it takes you like an hour to start up.
An hour of startup time. Wow, that would actually kind of be interesting. That'd probably make me want to punch something. Well, okay, I guess with the games that never had a sequel that should have, if you just had to pick one, what would you kind of go with? I mean, Kale picked one. I got to make you pick one.
Yeah, I know. I want to say Portal 2, even though it's never going to happen.
That's
Okay.
from DLC.
Yeah.
Now, okay, I'm going to make you pick one. One game that had a better sequel than the original. You can only pick one.
Final Fantasy X.
Then 9?
Then
10-2
9.
was better than 10, or 10 was better than 10? Or 10
Yeah,
was better than 9?
damn Final Fantasy. 10-2, X-13, 12.
Oh my
Yahtzee.
Alright.
I liked 10 better than like pretty much all the other Final Fantasies.
That's it. Okay, that's interesting. I never actually had an issue with 10, so I won't agree.
10 was alright.
But I'm not going to disagree. I just won't agree. We're going to stay there. Alright. Now, and instead of finally getting ahead of myself, I can let Matt talk because I'm a retard apparently. All right, Matt. Games that never had a sequel that should.
So I made a list and I ended up crossing them all off. So I made this really simple for you. Actually, my good sequels is a little bit longer and my bad sequels is pretty immense. So we'll see. There's only one game that I feel needs a sequel right now, and I feel that it's coming soon, and that's Halo Wars. I really enjoyed this. I don't really want to call it strategy because, I mean, it's pretty straightforward in Halo Wars. But I enjoyed having that style on a console to be able to play with other people, even if we never did get to play it that much. I would like to see an expansion, maybe to play as the Flood. I'm not certain if I want to. Well, yeah, I think it would be all right now, since Bungie really never had much of a say in the first one, I believe. I know it kind of goes against what I'm saying on the Halo universe, but since this is still a pretty unique idea, Halo Wars 2 wouldn't be that bad of a game.
Now, couldn't I argue? I mean, we can get back to this if you want, but couldn't I argue that that's just milking the franchise?
You could say that, but as long as they're not good, if they don't do another sequel after this, I think it'd be all right. They could get away with it. I mean, you only can say things were bad after it's happened.
True. Okay, yeah. I mean, hindsight's 2020, right? That's the argument.
Yeah. Yep. This game, as long as they do a good job on it, I don't think it would be milking. It would be all right. But if they go to 3 on Halo Wars, within like the next 10 years after releasing 2, so, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Go ahead and jump ahead there. What else you got?
No, that's the only one I could think of right now that needs a sequel. I was going to say Psychonauts, but I never really played it. I really wanted to play it, so maybe that's why I want a sequel, even a remake. So,
HD remake. What about a better sequel?
Better sequels. We'll start with Halo 2. Pretty obvious.
Seriously, I crossed that off because that was the one I was going to say, but I crossed it off because I figured out someone was going to beat me to it.
Yep. I'll let you go on that one then, but I'm going to say one thing. Multiplayer and Xbox Live. A better sequel, another one would be Half-Life 2. They're coming out with the original.
I don't disagree with that.
I know a lot of PC gamers are probably raging at me right now because, you're an Xbox gamer, you never got to play the first one, shut up. This game is amazing.
Oh my.
No, it doesn't matter. So, yeah.
Well,
there's nothing.
I played the first one.
I've seen the first one, and this game is so much better. There's so much more going on with the story than there is in that one. So yes,
wait, hold on.
Shove it.
You seriously have never played the first Half-Life?
Because it's PC only.
So
I got other things to play right now. So that speaks for how well the first game was.
The world can run that game right now.
Now, here's the question here.
I just don't care enough to do it.
Moving on, what is a game that had a sequel that shouldn't, if you could just blow it up?
A game that I don't want a sequel.
Oh, no, that had one that you really just don't think that should have had one.
Yeah, that's what I'm going on to.
Yeah, sorry.
Let me, I want to run off these last 3 games.
Go ahead.
Great sequels. Need for Speed 2 was better than 1, and 3 was better than 2 for the old PlayStation ones. Resident Evil 2 was better than the first one.
Agreed.
And Gran Turismo 2 was better than the first one for, all of us old PlayStation gamers out there.
Okay.
Bad sequels. We'll start with, okay. We'll start at the bottom of my list. Ape Escape. Anything after that was pretty bad. Duke Nukem. That was abysmal, I think we mentioned that. Any 3D Sonic game.
No, Sonic Generations. Whoa, Sonic Generations, especially Sonic Adventure. Sonic Adventure 2.
Any 3D Sonic game.
Oh.
Any Mario Party after number 5. Star Fox Adventures, Dragon Age 2, and the one that I'm the most peeved about is Bioshocks 2 and 3.
Yeah.
How the hell did you take such a great thing and bastardize it by making a prequel that just terrible. And then 3, this thing that doesn't even have anything to do with the first 1 or 2 for that matter. What the hell are you guys thinking by doing this? You are destroying the beauty of the Bioshock world. Leave it where it was. And that's where I'm going to stop.
2 was a sequel.
2 was a sequel? I thought it was a prequel.
No, 2 is a prequel.
No, wait, I thought, because I could have sworn they were mentioning the one dude. Oh, you know what? I think you're right.
Yeah, 2 is a prequel.
It's been so long since I played that game. You're absolutely right. Wow. I didn't think 2 was that bad, though.
I thought 2 was horrible. I hated it. It completely.
And the multiplayer, why did we put multiplayer in Bioshock?
I agree.
Capitalize on the multiplayer. It was bad.
It pretty much did the exact same. Well, yeah, Assassin's Creed multiplayer.
Yeah, it did exactly what Mass Effect did.
I said Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I know, and I'm saying Mass Effect.
Mass Effect's multiplayer I thought was co-op only.
They stole
Mass Effect
Horde
3,
from Gears.
it's like Horde, more or less.
Exactly. What I mean is they put a multiplayer into a game that didn't need it just to capitalize on the multiplayer.
I think a lot of people are clamoring for it. That I think they were just dum-dums. I mean, just because we're the gamers, give us what we want. Either don't make something amazing out of it, or don't do it at all and call us dum-dums for even suggesting it. Because certain games don't need sequels. So
I agree.
Bioshock was one of those games.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna jump into mine real quick. Mine are very easy and I think pretty down to earth. And I guarantee that I think Kale will be annoyed with me at one of them. But all right, here's where I'm going. The first games that never had a sequel that should. Kale, I wholeheartedly, absolutely agree with you. Crimson Skies, one of the best Xbox Live games to ever come out on the original Xbox, as well as one of the most entertaining stories. Although it had its points of repetitiveness, it was definitely fun to play. And you always wanted to find out. Oh, I mean, you always wanted to find out what was going on with Nathan and whatnot. So that was just absolutely fun. A better sequel than the original. Matt said it earlier. I'm gonna agree with him when it comes to Halo 2, but I will say Mass Effect 2 was light years beyond what Mass Effect 1 was. And Mass Effect 1 was a 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10 game. So that's got to say something. I cannot rave about the Mass Effect series enough, and I think the third one was better than the second one. So that is a trilogy, in my opinion, that improved over time. Absolutely. Now, that never should... we'll stick with the better sequel. When it comes to Halo 2, the thing, and Matt says, while the story is arguable if it was better, and I'll leave that to the lore fans, I'm fine with it. Looking back on it, I was pissed at the cliffhanging, but you know what? That was years ago. I'm over it now, somewhat. So, while the story is arguable, the multiplayer on Xbox Live, even if Halo, I'm gonna go out and say this, even if the original Halo had been on Xbox Live, it would just not have mattered. Halo 2. The impact that game had, the hype and everything, the media coverage that game had, the marketing was absolutely brilliant for Halo 2. That helped a ton, but it was just so much more fun than the first one. And I'm sorry for all the MLG pros out there, I really am, or any pro gamer that goes out and say, "Oh, I wish this game was more like the original Halo." Yeah, well, I bet you played the hell out of Halo 2. So, mm-hmm. I don't know if I necessarily want to hear, it just needs to go back to the original Halo. I disagree. Halo 2 was great. It was a Twitch shooter by all means, and it was so much faster than the original Halo. And I guess if you don't like that, go play Call of Duty. You guys can pitch a tent and camp all match. I really don't care. I think that Halo 2 was a vast improvement over the original Halo. Now, never should have had a sequel. All right, this is going to be one that maybe Michael mentioned it that I want to disagree with. The Dirge of Cerberus.
I mentioned that.
Oh, you mentioned that one? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Dirge. Vincent Valentine was a great character and all. I would have rather have an honest FF7 sequel that was, the entire party playable, and it was the same system. I'm a sucker for that turn-based battle system. I still love it to death. One of my favorite systems. Kale, I know you hate it, and I'm sorry, but one of my favorite battle systems of all time.
I think most people would agree with you, though, that we would have took an FF7 sequel as opposed to a shooter like Dirge. I think everyone would agree.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't just, even if the Dirge's story wasn't necessarily bad. The gameplay kind of made that one hard, or not hard, but I would just like a full, more fleshed out story from the entire cast and just something more epic. But, that's a very opinionated thing, so I'm not sure, but like you said, a lot of people probably would agree. Now, here's one that I think Kale's going to disagree with me on, and that's fine. Because I mean, I think he does have a right to. Assassin's Creed 2, the trilogy. No.
I agree with you.
You agree? Okay.
I was going to put that down too. I think they really confused a lot of people with the.
I think that was retarded.
I fully agree with you.
Okay, I was very curious there because I mean honestly, I really loved the first Assassin's Creed was like 7 out of 10 ratings and whatnot, and I watched Kale play the hell out of this one back when I was living with him, and it was amazing. I was playing Mass Effect at the time, but it was so cool. It was so interesting. The story was so great, and Assassin's Creed 2, it was just awesome. I was like, holy crap. And then I can't remember if it was Brotherhood that was the one that came out after that.
Yeah.
But I just could not get into it. I was like, you know what? I've played with Ezio already. I'm not really. It just doesn't entertain me. And maybe, in all honesty, maybe that's just a personal thing. But obviously, it isn't because someone agrees with me, which is great. But it's just you didn't need it. You should have just went to right to 3. I mean, it felt like milking.
Here's the thing that bothers me. I don't know if I hate the fact that they did the 2 trilogy before going to 3, or if it's the fact that they turned the game into a yearly franchise.
Ooh, good point.
Because, I loved 1. Loved 2 even more. I mean, there was, 3 years in between it? 2 years?
Yeah.
2 was amazing. And then Brotherhood came out, and I'm like, man, but then I got it, and I loved it more than 2. And then Revelations came out, and I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Then I went to go, I bitched about it for a while, then I finally went and bought it, and I put it in my Xbox, and I finally played it. I played it for maybe 20 minutes, and then never played it again.
And it's so sad.
Exactly. And now, I should be so excited for 3, but I'm not. I don't care about it. I'm not.
And it's sad. It's so disappointing because that was just something that I was just so hyped for. Other games that were better than the original. I wanted to throw it. I'm sorry, but not Assassin's Creed. Sorry. Well, I mean Assassin's Creed 2 was better than Assassin's Creed 1, but Lightyear's better. Uncharted 2. I know we don't have a whole lot of PS3 gamers in here, but Uncharted 2 is just light years. It was so good, and it's just something that kept me hooked. It was on par with Mass Effect 2, as in the mass improvements it did. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Oh right, no, I agree. Like, 'cause when I got my PS3 last Christmas, I bought the Uncharted series and I played Uncharted 1. And I'm like, this is what this looks like. I'm like, what the hell is everyone clamoring about this game for? This looks like shit. But then I put in Uncharted 2 after beat 1. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And then I put it in 3, and I was like, oh my god!
Yeah, you just can't rave enough about what Naughty Dog's done over there. You can make an argument that any sports series should be on the should have never been made list, or not as often have been made, maybe bi-yearly or tri-yearly even if you wanted.
That's a whole different ballgame, I think.
But,
yeah, it's a lot different.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I think you could make a loose argument.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I was leaning towards. I'm not sure where I stand on a tri-yearly thing, maybe bi-yearly, but again, that's probably another bitch topic for another time. Other than that, I think I just wanted to definitely stick with the Assassin's Creed 2 trilogy. I figured it was very unnecessary, and if I just had to get one set that never should have been made, that it was to start that trilogy. It should have never been a trilogy inside of a trilogy. This is an Inception. I don't need a dream within a dream within a dream, so I can dream while I dream while I dream. It's just not necessary. It's just not. Absolutely not.
Yo, dog.
So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. This is definitely a little shorter of a podcast. Next week, we will definitely, unfortunately, be talking about Valve. Everyone knows how much I love Valve, but that's pretty much what we're going to be focusing on.
I think next week you should finally just tell everybody what you have so much say in your vagina over Valve for.
I will, and I will.
Because we know, but everyone that listens hears you whine and bitch about Valve every single week.
They didn't hire me. No, that's not it at all. They better fucking hire me if I fly. Fucking Valve. I can count. But we're definitely going to be into dealing with Valve and other up-and-coming topics. So we'd like to thank you for listening again. I would first and foremost, last of all, just like to apologize for not having a podcast last week. We hope this one is the one that you'll listen to and be like, okay, this is definitely worth waiting a week for. But again, we thank you very much, and we will see you next week.